Comments about what it was, what Dad was like with a kid, as a kid in Irving? Maybe what you called them?
I know how to do
We
this.
called them the Cats and Jammer Kids.
Cats and Jammers. Anybody know that cartoon?
No.
Well, the Cats and Jammer Kids were brothers, two brothers, and they were the sons of the captain. And yes, and Irvin and Lloyd, they were Cats and Jammer Kids.
I think that means, and correct me if I'm wrong, that they were a little mischievous or a little rambunctious or
Like
something.
to play tricks
Likes to play tricks.
on innocent people.
And you could tell me the trick that they played on you one time when they...
Yeah, down at the ranch when we were living there, my dad was helping Uncle Mike build the barn, and those were the days when Aunt Enos was a wonderful cook. She baked all of her breads, and the butter was fresh butter and that type of thing. So they would ask, my sister was not born yet. There were just three of us. I'm the oldest, my brother is deceased, he was next, and then my sister was the youngest, she too was deceased. And he would, the two of them, Irvin and Lloyd,
Yeah.
would ask us if we wouldn't like a nice piece of bread and butter. So we're little kids, you know.
Yeah.
So what did they do? They just poured salt all over this bread. Good butter. Oh yes.
and fed it to you.
Yeah, but we were, you know, Lloyd and I and Ellen were very, very close friends.
So they like to play tricks. You were telling me as we came over here how Dad would be pleased because...
Oh yes. Oh yeah. He would be. He and I we were very good friends. We really and truly were. And he was the best man for Bill. Bill was my husband. And of course, Lloyd was very private. You know that, don't you, Jan? You know, and we didn't know. Bill and I were married in April of '46, and Lloyd and Jean were married in October of '46.
Maybe in November.
Oh, maybe, okay, October.
Same year.
I mean November, same year. But did he ever tell us he was going to be getting married? No way, Jose.
You didn't know till you brought a wife
Oh,
home.
no. Oh, no.
And I assume you were really shocked.
Yes, he never dated. He never had a girlfriend.
Yeah. He
To
just
my
shows up with a
knowledge.
wife. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And loyal, you know, it was, yeah. And then, of course, and your grandmother, Mrs. Holzer, said to Jean, she said, you had better grab that young man.
Yeah, that's what she told me.
Mm-hmm.
So Grandma Holzer really liked Lloyd.
Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. And then Aunt Enos, Lloyd was living in an apartment off of right on Broad Street. That big house on the right hand side, I can't remember the end of the street. See, when you're 91 years old, some things one is allowed to forget, I think. If I think hard enough, then it comes back to me. Well, anyhow, and Aunt Enos said to Lloyd, she said, Lloyd, she says, and she told me this, don't bring a bride home unless you have a brand new mattress. And so he bought a brand new mattress.
Good for him.
And Aunt Enos told me that.
Okay. So let's go back to Aunt Enos, which for those of you that don't know, Aunt Enos is my grandmother, my father's mother. Okay. You first met her, you said, when you were
How old?
4, did you say?
We had just left San Miguel.
Okay.
We just left San Miguel, and of course Uncle Mike and my father were brothers. And this is most of you have seen this, I'm sure. This is Uncle Mike, and this is my father. There were several years difference, and I didn't have time to go through all my records to put down the dates and so forth. But I lost my train of thought here.
We were talking, you first met Enos when you moved down there as a ranch.
Yes, and we lived there, and the house was like a two-story house. And she and Uncle Mike were a wonderful couple. They just meshed, literally meshed. They played cards, and they were, Then they had this old car. I wonder what happened to that old car. It used to be kept in, I don't have a picture of it.
There was an old truck, it was kind of a truck in the
Now,
barn.
This was a car.
I don't know what happened to the car.
No, you wouldn't, probably
Okay.
would. And on Saturdays, they would drive to town and park the car on one of the main streets, usually on Higuera Street. Now, I'm not saying Higuera, it's Higuera, because the Spanish, all of you know that, I
Yes.
think, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah, so, do you say Higuera or Higuera, Joe?
No, and I was here, somebody asked me where Higuera Street was, and I said, I have no idea where Higuera Street is.
Well, it's one of the most prominent streets in San Luis Obispo. And so I'm kind of joking around
Yes,
here.
that's okay.
So, okay,
Questions,
the street was named after, I'm going to say all of you are much younger than I, so you can put yourself
next
in the
generation,
proper year. The street was named after Tomas Benedito Higuera, who lived on Marsh Street. And he had a small ranch in the area. All of this has been documented, and I have plot pictures and everything.
So he is your grandfather?
Tomas was my great-grandfather.
Okay.
Because Roberto is my
Roberto
is my grandfather.
Okay.
And so anyhow, but this ranch was in the area of Marsh, Higuera, Pismo, and Napoa Streets. How many acres, I have no idea. And then there was also a Catholic cemetery where Higuera and Marsh Streets join before you enter the freeway. And so that cemetery is no longer there, but I'm sure.
Going back to Enos, they had a good marriage?
Oh, yes.
Even though there was an age difference?
Big age difference, but the marriage, I'd say, was perfect. Is there such a thing as a perfect marriage? We don't know. Anyhow, whatever. Yes, it was she loved him dearly, and he loved her. Yes, there was a good son. Well, anyhow, to get back to when I really first met her, she and Uncle Mike used to play cards in the evenings with the neighbors and so forth, and they had friends down in that area. And you know, that was a long time ago in the 1920s. And then our family, my dad, my mom, my two siblings, and I left the area and went on our own way. But then we would see Uncle Mike and Aunt Enos on Saturdays if we drove into San Luis Obispo, and they would be parked on one of the main streets, usually on Higuera Street. And that was a long time ago, and they would be people that they knew would stop by and visit them. It's like their car was their home, and people would stop and visit with them.
So people would go park downtown, and then they just kind of walk around and visit with who else was down there?
Put any quarters in meters. Didn't cost you
So
stay
kind
as
of like
long
a
as you wanted.
Community center or something downtown.
Absolutely.